Okay, year 8, and welcome back for our final recorded lesson number 5. Thank you for being so patient and working with me this week remotely. So we are in our last lesson online learning together, but I can't wait to see you back in the classroom next week where face to face we will continue to learn together. So for the last time, guys, find a pen, fetch a piece of paper, and remember to focus on one task at a time. Now, as a little hint as to what we might be doing today, if you have a pencil and a ruler, it might also help with the job that I'm going to ask you to do. And don't forget to fall in love with these extracts and what we're reading about. Now, we're going to just do a quick recap and retrieval. We've got 4 questions here. I'm just going to read them through once. Then you can press pause and give yourself the time that you need to answer them. And once you've answered them, you can continue to watch. Okay, are you ready? Number 1. What type of animals did Gerald learn to love when he was in Greece? So what type of animals were we reading about yesterday? Number 2. List 3 types of insects that he found. 3. Look at this sentence. Carpenter bees zigzagged amongst the flowers. So in that sentence, which word is the subject? So the part of the sentence that tells us who or what. Which word is the verb? The part of the sentence that tells us what they're doing. And 4, does inculcate or pioneering mean to teach yourself something by doing it a lot? So which of those vocab terms means to teach yourself doing something by doing it a lot? Inculcate or pioneering? So guys, number 1, what type of animals did Gerald learn to love in Greece? 2, list 3 types of insects that he found. 3, look at this sentence. Carpenter bees zigzagged amongst the flowers. Which word is the subject? Which word is the verb? And 4, does inculcate or pioneering mean to teach yourself something by doing it a lot? So feel free to press pause, give yourself the time that you need to answer those, and then we'll mark them together in a minute. Okay, guys, so ready to mark. What type of animals did Gerald learn to love in Greece? Well, the bit we were looking at, he was falling in love with insects. They began to fascinate him and delight him. He thought they were amazing. Now, there are more than these 3 types, but just as an example, I've got the huntsman spider, ladybirds, ants. There was a moth. There were carpenter bees. There were earwigs. There were lots of insects, weren't there? I think we got up to 10. So, as long as you've got 3 insects, give yourself a mark. Now, in this sentence, carpenter bees zigzagged amongst the flowers. Carpenter bees is the subject, so we could say who or what zigzagged amongst the flowers? Carpenter bees, which then helps us find the verb. What did the carpenter bees do? They zigzagged amongst the flowers. Brilliant. And actually, it's that lovely, strange word that I kind of never say the same way twice, inculcate, that means to teach yourself something by doing it a lot. So, guys, we are going to inculcate, we're going to teach ourselves to read and to read well by doing it a lot when we're back together. Okay? So, today, for the last time, I'm going to read to you, and we're going to read an extract together. We're going to think about some new vocabulary: ferocious and cruel. We're going to use some questions to get us thinking about the text, and we're going to make sure that we understand what we read. So, guys, our first new word, this lovely word cunning. Now, cunning means being good at getting what you want by lying and tricking people. So, cunning means being quite clever but deceptive. So, you've got skills, you're quite clever, but you use your cleverness, your skills, for tricking people, deceiving people to get what you want. So cunning means being good at getting what you want by lying and tricking people. And it's a lovely word that comes from the Old English. So it's an old-fashioned, a very, very old word, sorry. So I was trying to think of a good example of a cunning character, and I came up with Loki. So I can imagine that Loki, who could change his face, was a cunning trickster. So Loki, who could change his face, was really good at trying to get what he wanted by deceiving people, lying and tricking to them. He was cunning. Now, for this bit, think about it. Okay, can you think of another character? Maybe from a film you've watched several times, or a book you've read, or a game that you play that's cunning? Can we think of any characters that are good at getting what they want by lying and tricking people? Oh, so for this one, all I want you to write down is that cunning means being good at getting what you want by lying and tricking people. And if you can think of your own example, you could make a note of that too. So guys, I'm going to let you pause here. Take the time that you need to write down our definition that cunning means being good at getting what you want by lying and tricking people. And can you think of your own character, either from a book, really it's anything. It could be a TV show, could be something on Netflix you've watched. Somebody that's really, it's kind of like they're not so bad, they're evil. I always think they always described the fantastic Mr. Fox as being a bit cunning. He was very good at getting what he wanted, but he tricked people to do it. Okay, so press pause and get that vocab word down. Okay, so from cunning to ferocious. Okay, I love this, ferocious. Now, ferocious is from the Latin ferox, which means fierce. So ferocious means to be cruel, fierce, or violent. I've just seen it. Have you seen it? Look at my little typo. I've put of there. Or violent. So, for example, we could say he was a ferocious fighter. So I can begin to imagine like a boxer now, or maybe a gladiator. Or a gladiator would be a ferocious fighter. He would be violent and fierce and defending himself until the death. Could you think of animals that are often seen as being ferocious? What animals are seen as being a bit cruel, fierce, or violent? I know hyenas, aren't they? Hyenas are often seen as being like quite a cruel pack animal. Any of those predators, so like tigers, lions, can be really fierce, ripping up the prey and stalking it. I suppose actually maybe a lion or a tiger would have to be quite cunning too, because they would sneak up on the prey. Sometimes they hide and they like trick the people, the zebras into thinking nobody's there and then pounce. So you get to pause, just write down our new word is ferocious. It means to be cruel, fierce, or violent. And can you think about what animals come across as ferocious? Sadly, don't they? Some dogs have that reputation for being ferocious. Some dogs, they're banned breeds because they're ferocious. So you could think of a dog. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. Now, guys, I want to end today, okay, with you, rather than writing, doing some drawing for me. Now, when I say drawing, this is that moment where everyone's like, oh, I can't draw. When we get into it, it could be that you use stick men, that you use just symbols to represent the pictures, okay? Because what I want to focus in on with you today is this idea. I want to think about what I love about great writing. And what I love about great writing is that with the right words, in the right order, I can read something and see it like a movie in my head. That's what I love about reading. I have this imagination. It has to be the right words, so the writer has to be really descriptive, but suddenly it's like it's playing out like a movie in my head. Now, movies begin as what we call as storyboards. So before a movie's made, they will create quite elaborate what we call storyboards. Now, a storyboard is where you draw what you imagine the camera would be looking at in the key moment in a film. So, for example, if we were doing a storyboard for Miss Deutsch recording this lesson, right here we might have a picture of me laid on a sofa. Okay, so we're going to turn some great description into a storyboard. And actually, we're going to look at a description sentence by sentence. And then for each sentence, I'm going to get you to pause and to do a storyboard picture. Now, a storyboard can have the drawing in the bigger box. And sometimes you can make little notes underneath, some words, to just capture any information about what we would see. So the problem is I was trying this earlier. It's really hard. I don't think I've got any materials that mean I can draw for you on screen, but I will have a go. It's just going to look really bad. So you can't judge me, okay? So we're going to go back to from yesterday. Oh, the moment where he discovers the huntsman spider. Now, what I love about this description, I do think it's a really great example of a description, because when you read each part of the sentence, you begin to see in your imagination this huntsman spider hunting its prey. It's brilliant. So what I want you to do is just draw yourself 3 boxes, big enough to draw in. Now, guys, I'm not going to draw every picture because when you see how bad it is, you'll understand why. So I think the closest I could get to that, to being able to draw, is just up here. I think I have to insert a squiggly line somewhere. So it should say up here. Maybe not there. Shapes it is. Okay. So we're going to take each part of the sentence and we're going to think about what that's going to look like as an image. Almost imagine you're looking through a camera, okay? And what does the camera see? The camera sees whatever is in this part of the sentence. So are we ready? I discovered that in the dry leaves under the fuchsia hedge. So guys, we need to draw some dry leaves. Brilliant. So we need to draw some dry leaves. And we need to draw, actually I'll just do this slightly differently for a minute. So guys, we need to draw some dry leaves. I discovered that in the dry leaves, where are the dry leaves, guys? Under the hedge. So we need to draw a hedge. Now a fuchsia hedge is a particular type of hedge. So we need to draw in this first box a hedge and some leaves. Okay, now let's see if I can do it. Not very well. So I'm just going to try and be creative. I'm going to use that one for the hedge. Now in a minute, guys, I'm not going to do them all like this because you can see it's quite tricky trying to do it this way on PowerPoint. It's not a drawing device really. So I'm going to pretend my clouds are a hedge. And what do we need under the hedge? Now, guys, you could probably draw a better hedge than me. But what does it say is under the hedge? Brilliant. Dry leaves. So I'm just going to draw some dry leaves. La 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 la. So, rubbish. You guys are going to be so much better at me than this. Okay, so I've drawn the first thing I see as this sentence gets me to imagine. I discovered that in the dry leaves under the fuchsia hedge. So guys, I reckon you can do better than that. There's my hedge. There are my dry leaves. So I discovered that in the dry leaves under the fuchsia hedge lived another type of spider. So now in this box, okay, we've got to think about drawing a spider. Okay. Now, because it's the way the sentence is designed, we're meant to focus in on that spider. So I'm going to fill all of this box with my spider. Okay. And I need some legs. Now, guys, do you know how many legs the spider has? 8. So your spider is going to have 8 legs. Mine's only got 2 at the moment. So I'm just going to add some others in. Now, guys, you can see that for each sentence, we're going to work together to pick out the keywords. And then you're going to turn it into a drawing. So I discovered that in the dry leaves under the fuchsia hedge lived another type of spider. A fierce little huntsman with the cunning and ferocity of a tiger. There are key words, guys. So we've got, remember, cunning and ferocity. So what did cunning mean again? Good. That this huntsman is really skilled at getting what it wants by tricking or being deceptive. And it's really cruel. Now, it's another picture of the spider here, isn't it? Because it says, I saw a little huntsman. So guys, at the end of each page, I'm going to ask you to pause and do your images, okay? So if you were doing it, so we've got the box there that you draw in. Now you could write under it the words I've highlighted in yellow: dry leaves under the hedge, spider, cunning and ferocity. Okay, but that's what we're going to do. So press pause and do your first 3 images. Okay, guys. Now, Let's have a little look at this one. He. So who's the he a reference to? Yeah, it's our spider again. Now, if you imagine in this one, it was the close-up of the spider, a bit like here, I should have just copied that really, shouldn't I? So close-up of the spider. In this picture, in this part of the sentence, sorry, what I begin to imagine now is the spider, he's suddenly a bit smaller because I can see around him lots of leaves. So in this picture, we've gone from a close-up to we've zoomed out a little bit with our camera, and we can now see leaves, and walking and stalking about on these leaves is our spider. Now, stalk is this lovely idea that the spider is hunting always. So in this picture, we want to make the spider a little bit smaller, and we want to draw all those leaves that might be under him. So I've said overnight, I'm not going to draw because I can't do it very well. So you would draw in here maybe a spider with lots of leaves. Now, guys, in this next picture, what part of the spider do we have to zoom in on? Imagine we've got one of those amazing kind of like cameras that they use to take really good photos. What would we do with our camera if suddenly we can see eyes glistening in the sun? Yeah, we've got to zoom in, haven't we? So in this picture, I want you to zoom in and draw the eyes of the spider. So it's a bit like, I wonder if I could do it if we cropped. Oh, look, I'm being all fancy. Oh, no, I don't think you can. I'll just undo that. I'm going to try and crop in on his eyes. But it would just be this part of the spider maybe that you've zoomed in on his eyes rather than seeing him in his background. So here he is, and we see him on the leaves. We see him in his domain. Here, the writer is zooming us in to see his eyes glistening in the sun. So this little spider is walking about in his leaves, eyes glistening in the sun, and then pausing, so stopping now and then to raise himself up on his hairy legs to peer about. I love that. It's like we want to draw. I wish I was with you. If we were doing this in class, I love having a go at drawing this guy. So I'm just going to suddenly say, so suddenly we're going to get like his legs are up here now because he's paused and he's raised himself up. On his little legs. See, I keep trying to draw for you, don't I? I said I wasn't going to do it anymore, but I wanted to show you some of my ideas. Okay, so there's our huntsman spider. And he's raised himself up on his hairy legs to peer about. Our spider's having a good look around. Now, if it's a huntsman spider, what do you think he's looking for? Yes, something to eat. So, guys, pause it there. And then when you've done those 3 drawings, join me on the next page. I love this bit because in this sentence, and look, I've broken it down into 4 pictures, our huntsman spider, so he's peering up on his legs, wasn't he? He sees something and he's moving in for the kill. So let's look at each part of the sentence, okay? Each clause, each section of the sentence, and see what we could draw. So if he, so who's this he again? Okay, so we've got the spider. If he saw a fly settle to enjoy a sun bath, he would freeze. So we want to draw a picture that has our frozen spider on one side because he's seen a fly settle. So we might want to divide this box, like we might have our spider over here and over here a fly because the spider suddenly sees the fly. So I think I did that shape so I can have the little spider over here. And he sees a little spider over there. So in your picture, you're going to draw your spider again and he sees the fly. Then, as slowly as a leaf growing, he would move forward imperceptibly. So, he moves forward. So if we imagine here, he's here, we're going to move him across and he begins to move forward. Now, imperceptibly is this lovely word that means really, really slowly. So he goes from being there. Who's he creeping up on, guys? He is keeping up on that fly. So he moves a little bit closer in that picture. Brilliant. Now, I love this because the writers deliberately broke this sentence down to really focus on that slow movement. So he would move forward imperceptibly, like you almost can't see him, edging nearer and nearer. So let's just can do this one quite quickly as a little example. So if he's edging nearer, here he goes. He's getting closer to the fly. I don't know why. Now, guys, I've just started using shapes, but I want you to be thinking you could just draw your little spider. And those two shots show he's getting closer. It's like that lovely moment in a movie where everything slows down. And it says here that he would pause occasionally to fasten his lifeline of silk to the surface of the leaves. Now, this is pretty cool. This is cool animal stuff. So, do you know that spiders spin silk? So this spider is fastening his silk to the surface of the leaves. So actually, each time he moves, he is leaving a trail of silk. Now, this silk is going to have a purpose in a minute. We don't know what it is yet, but let's just see. So we've got our little spider, hello little spider. And as he's moving forward, he's leaving a trail of silk. So I'm going to have a little look. What can I get here that might be like a trail? And he's letting that trail of silk kind of stick to the leaves. So he's leaving his trail of silk. Brilliant, guys. Now, anything that you want to go and improve, we've got some more pictures to do. But then you can go on and do it, okay, and improve any or pause for as long as you like in between. So lovely, he's moving closer. Let's look what happens next. Then, when close enough, the huntsman would pause. So he's close enough to the, what's he close enough to, guys? The fly, and then he would pause. So he gets so close and then, boom, stops. He's going to pause. Little fly. He's as close as he can get. He's going to pause. Now look at this. His legs shift minutely as he got a good purchase. Now, guys, this lovely expression, a good purchase. If you're ever going to like climb, if you ever do rock climbing or anything where you're like in a dangerous position, we often find ourselves checking our footing, don't we? Like that our feet aren't going to slip. That it feels like firm under our feet. If you've ever been like rock pooling or into the sea and you suddenly find you lose your footing because you haven't got good purchase. So purchase means that you've got this sense that you're anchored, attached to the ground. So our little spider is making sure that his legs are attached to the ground really carefully. Well, think about why. Oh. So he's attaching his legs to the ground. Okay, so he's attaching his legs to the ground, getting a good purchase, a good grip, and then he would leap. Love it. So now our spider is leaping out. So you might need to just draw him like, whoa, leaping out of the box maybe. Now I love this. Look, he's leaping out. His legs spread out in a hairy embrace. So he's almost like he's cuddling in this next one, like his arms are ready. Guys, what's he really got his arms open to grab? the fly. So maybe then I've got some legs spread in a hairy embrace. So for that one, we want to draw maybe like a spider with his legs open and straight on to the dreaming fly. Poor old fly. Boom. He's got the fly. So he captures the fly. So do you see how lovely it is? The writer really breaks down within each sentence the stages of this spider's attack. Now, guys, I'm sad because mine just look like blobs and lines, but I know you could have done some lovely images for this. And now we're in our last two. Never did I see one of these little spiders miss its kill once it had moved itself into the right position. So actually, really, that's one final image. And it's just of maybe the spider being all triumphant. The spider always wins. So maybe you could draw it with like its arms in the air, like it's a winning spider. So never did these spiders miss they kill. Guys, so what we've got there is a lovely example of how writers can give us great description that really helps us to imagine. I can now go through each part of these sentences and really understand how the huntsman hunts. I love it. This is why it's such a lovely, powerful piece of writing. Your job now, guys, is just to slow down and to give me each part of the sentences we've talked about as an image. If you've been keeping up as you go, brilliant. If you've just been listening, you can go back and do your pictures. Again, if you'd like to add some of those words underneath, you may. But I would love to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 pictures in your storyboard of how a huntsman catches the fly.